usted hoy, ¿verdad? No.
señor.
No, sir.
I came down while waiting for the car to speak to you briefly at lunchtime.
Hablar con usted brevemente.
Well, let me
Espérese.
ask it another way. All right. Did you see me briefly at lunch before I left?
A la hora del almuerzo, antes de que yo me-
Foundational at this point.
Foundation. You brought it up.
Conteste.
Sí.
Yes.
Did we ever have any kind of an argument at all?
¿Tuvimos alguna discusión?
No.
No.
Do we talk about
Hablamos de
whether or not you plan to go to El Salvador?
usted planeaba irse a El Salvador o no?
Sí.
Yes.
Did you give me the name of your travel agent? Well, let me ask this.
It is.
Just a moment. All right, let me restate it.
Please.
Did we have a discussion about the name of your travel agent?
¿Plática sobre el nombre de su agente de viajes?
Sí.
Yes.
While I was there, was a phone call made to the travel agent to try to reach her? She can tell us that. I'm asking, was a phone call made to the travel agent? It's not leading.
Counsel, whether it's leading or not at this point, let's get to the point.
All right. Was a phone call made to the travel agent?
¿Se hizo una llamada al agente de viajes?
Sí.
Yes.
And is her name Zulema Iida?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sí.
There's no indication that this witness has any personal knowledge.
That's great. This is incredibly leading, Mr.
Yes,
Cochran.
yes, absolutely. But, Your Honor, if he could just, I'm still asking these questions, Your Honor. As an offer of proof, may I continue?
I understand where we're going with this. So we've established who the travel agent is. Let's proceed.
Yes, I was trying to, if I could establish it, may I do that?
I thought you said that was who it was.
Yes. Zulema Iida, I-I-D-A, is that correct?
Zulema Aida, ¿eso
Sí.
es? Yes.
And were arrangements made for Ms. Zulema Iida to come to court this
¿Arreglos
afternoon?
para que viniera Zulema Aida al tribunal esta tarde? Yes.
It's all hearsay.
Did you see Ms.
Your Honor, there's an objection. This is leading to hearsay. There's a motion to strike.
It's overruled at this point.
Did you see Ms. Zulema Iida out in the hallway before you came into court this afternoon?
Counsel, I got to tell you something. The issue is this person leaving? Is there a bona fide reason for that person to leave? Nobody has bothered to discuss on page 1 of her affidavit, on paragraph 7, line 23, it says, I have fear for my personal safety as well as the safety of my family if I remain in this country. Nobody's bothered to ask that question. That seems to me to be a very important issue. Whether or not she's got a travel agent, whether or not that travel agent is going to come here is not real interesting to me.
Your Honor, the witness has indicated already that she wants to leave because of harassment for the press, from the press, Your Honor. And that is
I know.
the reason she gave.
Madam Mayor,
She gave no other reason.
I understand
I
that.
think that excludes
The court, if the court would allow me one moment, I appreciate the court understanding and anticipate what we're going to do. The reason why the travel agent is here, it bears on questions asked by Mr. Darden, Your Honor, as to
I
whether or
understand
not
that.
this lady has made some reservations to go to El Salvador this month. And I expect to introduce that as testimony,
All right,
Your Honor. So I
let's
know
proceed.
if the court would allow me, I think the court will understand what we're trying to do.
Let's proceed. Sure.
Thank you.
It's an awful long hearing to determine whether or not we're going to have a hearing.
Well, Your Honor, I think so, Your Honor, but they took up 2/3 of the hearing, Your Honor. I'll point that out.
Well, she made a material misrepresentation on the witness.
Well, Mr. Darden, thank you.
Now,
Let's proceed.
now, with regard to the
Con
declaration
respecto a la declaración
that you signed on
que
February
usted firmó el
17,
17 de febrero
1995, do you remember that?
de 1995, ¿se acuerda de eso?
Sí, sí.
Yes, sir.
And was this declaration read to you in Spanish
¿Se la leyeron
before
a
you
usted
signed
en
it?
español antes
Sí.
de firmarla? Yes.
And who read this
¿Quién le leyó
declaration
esta
to you
declaración a
Irma.
usted?
before you signed it?
Irma.
Irma.
All right, is that the lady who left a few
La
moments
señora
ago?
que salió hace
Sí.
unos momentos? Yes.
And you're aware that Irma speaks
Y usted
Spanish, is
sabe
that
que
correct?
Irma habla español, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Yes.
And are the facts contained in this
Y los
declaration
hechos que contiene esta
true
declaración
and correct?
son correctos y
Sí.
ciertos? Yes.
At the time this
Y
declaration was
cuando
prepared,
se preparó esta declaración,
was your lawyer, Mr. Carl
¿su
Jones,
abogado, el
present?
señor Carl Jones, estaba presente?
Sí.
Yes.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Quisiera hacerle una pregunta
two about
o
the
dos
declaration, if
sobre
I
esta
might.
declaración, si me lo permite.
Sí.
Yes.
In paragraph 7,
En el párrafo 7,
I want you to read this,
quiero que lea usted,
first of all, to
en
yourself,
primer lugar, en
and then
voz
I want to
baja.
ask you a question
Léamelo
about
usted
it.
porque no
You
puedo.
read it to me, please.
You know, I'm going to object to having the witness read the
Que
declaration. Counsel pose the question. If you give it to her with question
se lo
recollection.
da para
It's
refrescarle
her
la memoria.
declaration, and the
Es su
declaration is for herself,
declaración.
Your Honor.
Y
Yes,
habla por sí
it's
mismo.
her declaration.
Can you read it to yourself?
No miro porque no
I
tengo mis
can't see
lentes.
because I don't have my glasses.
All right. May I read it to you?
¿Se lo puedo leer,
Yes.
su señoría? Sí.
In paragraph
En
7,
el párrafo 7,
you indicate,
usted indicó,
I have a fear for my personal
temo por mi
safety
seguridad personal,
as well as the safety of
al
my
igual que la
family
seguridad de mi familia,
if I remain in this country.
si me quedo en este país.
Esto,
I
¿Cómo?
want,
es verdad.
is
It's
that,
true.
okay, is that true?
¿Eso es cierto?
Sí.
All right.
Yes.
And why do you have a fear for your
¿Y por qué
personal
teme usted
safety
por su
as
seguridad
well as the
personal, al
safety
igual
of
que
your
la seguridad
family
de su familia,
if you remain in this
si
country?
se queda en este país?
Porque toda la gente ya me conoce.
Because everybody already
Donde
knows
quiera que voy
me.
me miran y ya me señalan y me dicen, ve, esa es la mujer que está en el trailer hoy de Mr. Simpson.
Wherever I go, people
Tengo
look at
miedo.
me and point at me and say, see, that's the woman that's in Mr. Simpson's case. And I'm afraid.
You're afraid for your personal
¿Tiene
safety?
miedo por su seguridad personal? Yes.
When you went
Y
down
cuando usted
to,
fue,
was there a time you went down to the unemployment
¿usted
office
fue a la oficina de desempleo en cierto momento?
Sí,
and spoke
Yes.
with an unemployment
¿Y habló con
counselor?
un consejero de desempleo?
sí.
Yes.
And did this unemployment
¿Y este
counselor say
consejero de
something to
desempleo
you?
le dijo algo a usted?
Un security.
A security.
All right, and this
¿Y
security person,
esta persona de seguridad
did that person recognize you?
la reconoció? Yes.
What did that person
¿Qué
say
le
to you?
dijo esa persona?
Era un moreno
It was a black guy.
y me dijo, ¿usted es la housekeeper de Mr. Simpson?
He said to me, you're Mr. Simpson's housekeeper.
Y le dije, no.
I said, no.
Did that concern you also?
¿Y eso también le preocupó?
Sí, muchísimo, ya no vuelvo a ir ahí.
Yes, very much. I won't go back there.
What about the safety of your
¿Y qué de
family?
la seguridad de su familia?
Tengo mucho miedo por mis hijos también.
I am very scared for my children too.
Has your daughter or your son
Su hija
expressed any
o su hijo le han
concerns
expresado
because of the
preocupación
fact that you're
debido al
recognized
hecho de que
everywhere?
usted la reconocen en todos lados. Espérese,
Sustain.
no conteste.
How will we get at the safety of the family for this hearing?
Entonces,
You're
¿cómo
listening
vamos a
to it.
llegar
I'm
a
trying
donde
to
la
listen
seguridad
what her concerns are in
de la
that regard.
familia tiene que
Part of the
ver con
declaration.
su
Well, concerns are what's in her mind.
Well, I'm asking what.
So you're saying that there's a state of mind exception that you're trying to get to,
Yes, there is.
or rule?
All right, thank you. Based upon your conversation
Basado en,
with
en su conversación
your
con
children,
sus hijos. de usted.
what is your belief regarding
¿Qué
their
cree usted
concerns
sobre las
about their safety
preocupaciones
and the
de
safety of
ellos
your grandchildren?
sobre su seguridad de ellos y la de sus nietos y usted?
Sí, tengo mucho miedo. Y mi hija también tiene mucho miedo. Dice que
I'm very scared and my daughter is also very scared. Mhm.
Has that been one of the problems that you've had
¿Ese ha
with your
sido uno de
daughter?
los problemas que ha tenido usted con su hija?
Sí.
Yes.
And what has your daughter said to you about that?
¿Y qué le dijo su hija sobre esto?
Go stay a minute. Thank you. What's your daughter said
¿Qué
to
es
you
lo que le ha
about it?
dicho a su
que la
hija?
pueden llegar a matar o robarle sus hijas.
That they could even kill her or steal her children from her.
And when she said
Y
they,
cuando dice
Do you know who she's talking
podrían
about?
ellos, ¿sabe a quién se refiere?
Sí,
Yes.
who?
¿A quién?
a la gente contraria.
The people on the other side.
When you talk to
Cuando usted
your daughter and your son,
habla de su
Is this a
hija
matter that you're
y
very
su
serious
hijo,
about?
¿esta es una cuestión de la cual usted habla muy en serio?
Sí,
Yes.
when you left the state of
Cuando
California
usted
on
salió del
Wednesday,
estado de California el miércoles,
why did you leave?
¿por qué se fue?
porque así no me miran ya los camareros, ya no van, tal vez no, los reporteros no viéndome allí, la gente dice que ya no estoy, y les digo a todos que me voy.
Because like that, then the camera people and the reporters won't see me anymore, and then I can tell them that I'm no longer there, that I'm gone.
Are you concerned that you become so
Y
well
le
known that
preocupa a
anybody
usted
on the
que
street?
es usted ahora tan conocida que todo el mundo la contesta.
What is your concern about
¿Cuál es su preocupación con
your picture
respecto
being on television?
a que salga su foto en la televisión?
Que todos me conocen, que todos son a la lavandería, que a cualquier simple parte que vaya me están señalando y me están preguntando del caso de Rosa.
That everybody knows me, that wherever I go, whether it's to the laundry, everybody looks at me, they're pointing at me, and they're asking me about OJ's case.
Now, continuing on with the
Vamos a
declaration.
continuar con la declaración.
You say, I want to
Usted
testify
dice, quiero
truthfully,
declarar con la verdad,
but I cannot stand the
pero
stress.
no puedo tolerar
Is
la
that-
tensión.
Is that correct?
¿Correcto?
Sí,
Yes.
I am a prisoner trapped in my own
Soy una
home.
prisionera en mi propia casa.
I cannot go outside.
No puedo salir.
es true, es verdad.
It's true.
I cannot visit my
No puedo
relatives
visitar
in
a
Los
mis
Angeles
parientes en Los Ángeles
for fear that they too will be
por temor
harassed.
de que a ellos también los van a hostigar.
I'm asking whether.
Is there a question?
Counsel, yes, there is a question.
Yes.
All right. The question is that true?
La pregunta es si eso es cierto.
Well, counsel, I've already read the declaration. I know it's there.
Thank you. Just I thought I would ask, since she could not, the reason I was doing that, Your Honor, she said she couldn't read it.
No
This
pueden
point.
leerlo.
All right. Now, with regard to
Con
the
respecto
National Enquirer,
al National Enquirer.
do you know anybody by the name of Tony Frost?
Thought he was with the Star.
No.
Well, they're all the same, but Star, do you know anybody by the name of Tony Frost
Tony Frost?
No,
that you can
No.
identify?
no.
No.
Now, presently, you have no source of income presently, is that correct?
Ninguna fuente de
Overall.
ingresos, ¿correcto?
Actually, no. Oh. Sustained. I forgot he was on the other side for a moment there.
All right.
Rephrase the question.
Certainly, Your Honor. Do you have any source of income presently?
¿Tiene usted alguna fuente de ingresos en este momento? Espérese.
No. Overruled.
No,
No.
Has anybody offered you $5,000 or $1 for your testimony in this case?
no,
No.
Do you want any money for testifying?
¿Dinero a cambio de declarar?
no, señor.
No, sir.
Do you want any money to be brought down here and harassed?
¿Que la traigan aquí a hostigar?
No,
No.
Do you want to be left alone?
¿Quiere que la dejen en paz?
sí.
Yes.
When you finish court today, are you going back to this other state?
¿El tribunal aquí va a regresar al otro estado?
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
And you still plan to leave to go to El Salvador tomorrow?
¿Irse a El Salvador mañana?
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
Now, you were asked some questions about the other lady from Channel 34. Do you recall that?
¿Se recuerda?
Sí.
I want to
Yes.
ask you some questions about that. How long did the conversation last between you and the lady from Channel 34 on last Friday, the 17th?
17.
Algunos 25 minutos o 30, creo yo.
About 25 minutes or 30, I think.
At any time during that conversation, did you ever tell her that your lawyer had suggested that you can go back to El Salvador?
¿Puede regresar a El Salvador?
No, yo le dije,
No, I told her,
yo le pregunté a mi abogado si me podía ir y él me dijo que sí.
I asked my lawyer if I could leave, and he said yes.
All right. Now, in the course of this conversation with the lady from Channel 34, did she ever mention the subject of lawyers?
El tema de los abogados.
Ella me dijo
She said to me
que ustedes no me ayudaban,
that
que todos me estaban usando
all of you were not helping me, that you were using me,
y que por qué no le hablaba a Mr. John,
that why didn't I call Mr. John,
y que ellos me podían dar un abogado del canal que hablara mi idioma
that they could give me a lawyer from the station who spoke my language
y que me ayudaran.
and to help me.
And when she asked and made this offer of a lawyer from the station, what did you say, if anything?
Le dije que no, que yo tenía que él iba a hablar a mi abogado.
I said no, that I was going to call my lawyer.
And did you call your lawyer after that?
Después de eso?
Sí.
Yes.
And you never appeared on camera with this lady, did you?
Esta señora, ¿verdad?
Overruled.
No, no, who's trying the case?
Both are,
One lawyer at a time, though.
That's okay, Your Honor. I can count both of them. That's all right.
I'm sure you can.
Now, Your Honor, with regard to, well, strike that. Now, did you ever tell this lady, the reporter, that you felt abandoned by the defense lawyers because they hadn't contacted you?
Porque ellos no se habían puesto en contacto con usted.
No,
No.
And did this lady suggest that you call your lawyers, or did you call your lawyers on your own?
¿O usted llamó a sus abogados por su propia voluntad?
yo lo llamé.
I called them.
Now, in response to a couple of Mr. Darden's questions, in the last, in 1994, if you recall, how many times did you go back to El Salvador, if you went back to El
El
Salvador?
Salvador, si es que fue.
Fui en diciembre,
I went in December.
And when you went in December, did you use a particular travel agent?
¿Usó un agente de viajes en particular?
sí,
Yes.
And which travel agent was
¿El
that?
agente de viajes fue?
de la Panamericana.
Panamericana.
And was that the one on San Fernando Road that you told Mr. Darden about?
¿En la que le dijo usted al señor Darden?
Sí,
Yes.
And what travel agent did you use at that time?
¿Y qué agente de viajes usó usted en ese momento?
La misma muchacha. Esa.
That same girl,
Zulema?
Zulema?
Now, if you recall, did you make some reservations to go to El Salvador earlier this month, the month of February?
A principios de este mes de febrero, espérese,
Or will-
conteste.
Sí.
Yes.
And did you make reservations on a one-way ticket?
Reservaciones para un boleto de viaje sencillo?
No me acuerdo.
I don't remember.
All right, you weren't able to use those reservations, were you?
Usted usar esa reservación, ¿verdad?
No,
No,
And why weren't you able to use them?
porque mi hija me necesitaba.
because my daughter needed me.
And was she out of town during part of the time?
Fuera de la ciudad durante parte de ese tiempo.
Estaba trabajando en Nueva York.
She was working in New York.
And when did your daughter return back to the Los Angeles area from working in New York?
Después de trabajar en Nueva York.
Porque vino el martes en la noche.
She came on Tuesday night.
And when your daughter was away in New York, who was looking after your grandchildren?
Yo.
I was.
And once your daughter returned from New York, did your daughter start looking after her own children?
Su hija empezó a cuidar a sus hijos.
Sí.
Yes.
And when was it that you left to go to this other state?
Para irse al otro estado.
Me fui el miércoles en la mañana.
I left Wednesday morning.
And the airline that you take to
La aerolínea que tomó
El
usted,
Salvador
El
is,
Salvador.
which airline is it?
¿Cuál es la aerolínea?
Taca.
TACA.
Now, you mentioned that Josefina Rodriguez, is that your niece?
Rodríguez es su sobrina.
Sí.
Yes.
And with regard to your flying back here to Los Angeles last night,
Volado anoche aquí a Los Ángeles.
did you call my office and tell them where you were?
Para decirnos dónde estaba.
Sí.
Yes.
And was the ticket then sent to you?
Y le mandaron entonces un boleto.
Sí.
Yes.
And is your niece supposed to reimburse us for that ticket?
Y su
Sí.
sobrina nos tiene que reembolsar ese boleto.
Sí.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if you saw, did you see the video of Kristen Jeanette Meyer, the young lady from Court TV?
Video de Janet Myers de Court
Were you able to see that in court?
Yes.
¿Lo vio aquí? Yes.
Did she, when you were talking to her and she walked past you and you were sitting there with your lawyer, was she harassing you in any way?
¿Ella la estaba hostigando a usted de alguna forma?
No.
No.
She have a camera in her hand?
¿Ella llevaba cámara en la mano?
No.
No. I didn't see that.
You reached out and told her that you enjoyed her on Court TV?
Se le acercó y le dijo que le gustaba verla en Court TV.
Se ve bonita.
That she looks pretty.
Did you consider her to be like the people who follow you at your home
Ella es como
and
las
at work?
personas que la siguen en su trabajo y en su casa.
No.
No.
Was your lawyer sitting right by you when you talked to her?
¿Estaba sentado junto de usted cuando habló con ella?
Sí.
Yes.
And also at lunchtime today,
A la hora del almuerzo el día de hoy.
who was sitting at the table
Estaba sentado en la mesa.
with you at the time that we had our brief conversation,
Tuvimos
you and I?
nuestra breve conversación usted y yo.
Patty McCann.
Patty McKenna
Irma.
and Irma.
Yes. Did you see this man here?
Yeah.
And that for the record, Mr. Howard Harris?
The
Yes.
Harris. Yeah.
And did you see a man walking with me
Un hombre que iba caminando conmigo.
who appeared to be, strike that.
I was about to object.
Oh, you don't have to object. Did, at the time that, did you see somebody walk in with me when I came in? I'm asking you to answer that.
Yes.
Yes.
And did that person stand there and keep people away from me until I left?
Evitando que la gente se me
That probably is. What did you see that person do while I was standing there talking to you?
No me acuerdo. No me fijé bien qué hacía él.
I don't remember. I didn't really pay attention to what he was doing.
And when I left from where you were, when I,
Well, he's here, so he obviously
no, I'm
left.
still downstairs, Mr. Darden. Your Honor, may I proceed, Your Honor?
Please.
When I left, did you see that man leave with me?
¿Y usted que ese señor se fue conmigo?
No me fijé porque me quedé platicando con Irma.
I didn't pay attention because I was talking to Irma.
All right, and when you were sitting with your lawyer this morning in court,
Estaba con su abogado esta mañana en la
Mr. Jones, did you feel safe?
Jones, ¿se sintió usted segura? Yes.
Mr. Darden asked you some questions this morning about when you talked to your sister. Remember that?
Con su hermana, ¿se acuerda?
Sí.
And
Yes.
Has your sister called to one of your relatives here in Los Angeles
¿Alguno de sus parientes aquí en
at any
Los
time in the
Ángeles?
recent past?
Últimamente?
No, a donde estoy ahorita llamó ella.
No, she called at the place where I am now.
All right. Has she talked to your niece or any of your other relatives recently?
¿Alguno de sus otros parientes?
Habló con mi sobrina.
She talked to my niece.
All right. You haven't talked to her personally?
¿Usted no ha hablado con ella personalmente? No.
And when you leave on this flight tomorrow night for
Usted se vaya mañana.
El Salvador, what time will you arrive in El Salvador?
Va a llegar usted a El Salvador.
You know, some facts not in evidence and he's leaving.
Overruled.
There's been no indication that she's leaving for El Salvador, right?
Overruled.
So tomorrow night.
A las 8 de la mañana voy, llegando a las 7:45 de la mañana llega el avión.
I will arrive at 8 in the morning. The plane comes in at 7:45 in the morning.
And what time do you leave here?
¿A qué hora
Los
sale usted
Angeles.
aquí? Sale de Los
El avión
Ángeles.
sale a las 11.
The plane leaves at 11.
And that's on TACA, is that correct?
Está acá, ¿correcto?
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
Lastly, with regard to the Salingers,
Con respecto a los Salingers.
when Mrs. Salinger told you that if you stayed longer than
Se quedaba usted más
2 weeks away,
semanas,
she would hire another housekeeper,
contratar a otra ama de casa.
that mean to you that perhaps she no longer wanted you?
¿Eso para usted quería decir que ella ya no la quería?
Sí.
Yes.
Cause of speculation. She's trying
It's also leading, sustained, but the answer's already there.
to strike that.
All right, ask the question again.
Certainly, Your Honor. What did you take Ms. Salinger to mean when she told you if you stayed longer than 2 weeks, if you stayed longer than 1 week, that she'd look for another housekeeper?
Ella iba a buscar otra housekeeper.
Que ella no me quería.
That she didn't want me anymore.
And that's when you then left?
¿Y es cuando se fue?
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
And you have no other job, do
¿Y
you?
no tiene otro trabajo, verdad? No.
You mentioned to Mr. Darden that you came back from this other state because you felt a duty or an obligation to come and testify, is that right?
Deber de venir a declarar, ¿correcto?
Sí, no quería dejar, no quería que el juez quedara mal con todo el mundo, diciendo que era una mentirosa yo que no venía.
Yes, I didn't want the judge to look bad before everybody and saying that I was a liar and that I didn't come when I was told to.
You had been told you were due here Friday morning?
Le dijeron que tenía que estar aquí el viernes
Sí.
en la mañana. Yes.
Is that why you came back?
¿Por eso es que regresó?
Sí,
Yes.
And do you want to testify truthfully here today?
¿Con la verdad aquí el día de hoy?
sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Simpson is not a friend of yours, is
No
he?
es amigo de usted, ¿verdad?
No.
No.
He lived next door to where you live.
Él vive junto a donde usted
Sí.
vivía. Yes.
Thank you very kindly. Your Honor.
Any recross?
Ms. Lopez, you wanted to fly out of here and go to another state, is that correct?
¿Va a volar de aquí, correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
How are you going to leave from LAX tomorrow night if you're in another state?
Del aeropuerto de Los Ángeles mañana en la noche si está usted en otro estado.
Me voy a regresar otra vez mañana.
I will come back again tomorrow.
Without telling me where and which state you are headed today, can you tell me whether or not you're going to that state to gamble? To gamble.
Si va a ir usted a ese
I stipulate
estado
no,
a
she's
jugar juegos de azar.
No tengo dinero ni para comer, señor.
I don't even have money to eat, sir.
I'm not eating all day.
You don't have money to eat?
No, señor,
tiene dinero
tengo,
para
porque
comer.
tengo el de mi ticket nada más y yo quiero ahorrar para mi ticket de mi avión.
No, sir, because I only have enough for the ticket and I want to save it for my airplane ticket.
Do you expect to pay Mr. Jones his legal fees at some point?
Cross-examination, I never went into that.
Sustained.
No contesto.
He's already testified when she was going to do that.
You told us that
Nos dijo que
Mr. Cochran sent you a plane
el
ticket.
señor Cochran le mandó a usted
that
un
correct?
boleto de avión, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. This morning you told us that your niece purchased your plane ticket. Isn't that true? Isn't that what you told us this morning?
No es cierto, no es lo que nos dijo esta
Yeah.
mañana.
Can we have a yes or no answer, Your Honor?
It doesn't have to be a yes or no. She can explain that answer.
Isn't it true that this morning you told us that your niece purchased your plane ticket?
Compré el boleto de avión.
Sí.
Yes.
But now you're telling us that Mr. Cochran purchased your plane ticket, correct?
¿Correcto?
Overruled.
Correct?
Porque lo tiene que pagar otra vez. Hay que pagarle al señor.
Because she has to pay it back the man has to be paid.
Si usted me presta $1, yo lo tengo que pagar para atrás.
If you lend me $1, I have to pay you back.
Mr. Cochran has paid for your plane ticket, correct?
Yo no sé quién no me lo pagó.
I don't know who paid it for me.
Okay. Someone working for...
Alguien que trabaja.
Okay. Well, your niece hasn't paid for
Bueno,
it,
su
correct?
sobrina no lo ha pagado, ¿sí?
Correct?
¿Correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And you say that you're terrified for your family, is that correct?
Aterrorizada por su familia, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
But your family hasn't made plans to go to El Salvador, have they?
Porque mi hija es ciudadana norteamericana, tiene que ir a hacer El Salvador.
We have a yes or
Because
no
my
answer?
daughter is a North American citizen. She has no business in El Salvador.
Motion to strike, Your Honor. It's not a motion.
I'm sorry. It'll stand.
But your daughter has not made plans to go to El Salvador, correct?
¿No ha hecho planes para ir a El Salvador, correcto?
No lo sé.
I don't know.
You told us that you talked to Rosa Maria Villapando for 25 to 30 minutes, correct?
25 o 30 minutos, ¿correcto?
Ya.
Yeah.
And that's your estimate, correct?
Cálculo, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, you weren't watching the clock as you talked to her, correct?
No.
No.
Okay, so it could have been longer than 25 to 30 minutes, correct?
25 30 minutos,
No
¿correcto?
sé.
I don't know.
Okay, could have been an hour, correct?
Pudo haber sido una hora, ¿correcto?
No lo creo.
I don't think so.
Okay, but you don't know, do you?
Oh, well.
No lo sé.
I don't know.
And you don't know because you weren't wearing a
No
watch,
sabe
correct?
porque no traía puesto reloj, ¿correcto?
No.
No.
Okay. Were you wearing a watch?
¿Llevaba puesto reloj?
No.
No.
Okay. And you never wear a watch, do you?
Nunca usa reloj, ¿verdad?
Cuando quiero.
When I want to.
Okay. You rarely ever wear a watch, correct?
Muy de vez en cuando uso el reloj. ¿Correcto?
¿Cuánto salgo?
When I go out.
You've been videotaped by several news crews out in front of the Salinger's residence, correct?
Equipos de noticias le han sacado video fuera de la casa de los Salingers, ¿correcto?
It's, Your Honor, she's out.
I'm sorry?
I said, if she's out in front of the residence and she isn't wearing a watch, what's improper about that?
No.
What's
Beyond
improper
scope.
about it?
It's beyond the scope.
Counsel asked about time.
No,
Your Honor.
I know where you're going with this. No, it's beyond the scope.
Okay. You also told us this afternoon that you asked your lawyer if you could leave,
Preguntó a su abogado si usted se
and
podía
he
ir,
said
y él
yes.
le dijo que sí.
Correct?
¿Correcto?
Yes.
Yes.
Was that Mr. Jones or was that Mr. Johnny?
Mr. John.
Okay. He said it was okay to leave town? Okay.
¿Cómo dijo usted?
Mr. John.
Mr. John.
Good.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, Mr. Carl John.
Mr. Carl Jones.
Okay. He said it was okay to leave town?
Dijo que usted se podía ir de la ciudad.
Sí.
Yes.
He said it was okay to go to El Salvador?
¿Usted podía irse a El Salvador?
Yes.
Yes.
Did he say it was okay to stay there as long as you liked?
¿Usted se podía quedar ahí todo el tiempo que quisiera?
Yes.
Yes.
And did he say it would be good if you stayed there
¿Que sería bueno si se quedaba
as
usted
long as
ahí
you liked?
todo el tiempo que quisiera?
No.
No.
Someone called a travel agent this afternoon for you?
¿Agente de viajes esta tarde por usted?
Sí.
Yes.
Who called the travel agent?
La agente de viajes.
Patty.
Patty?
And who's Patty?
Salió por fuera.
He went outside. ¿Cómo?
Patty Mechanic.
Patty McKenna.
Okay. Mr. McKenna called a travel agent for you?
¿Llamó la agente de viaje por usted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He helped you get your plane
¿Le
ticket?
ayudó a conseguir su boleto de avión?
No, no hemos hablado del boleto de avión.
No, we haven't talked about a plane ticket.
Okay, well, he made reservations for you?
¿Hizo reservaciones?
Yo hablé con la muchacha, yo le dije que quería que me reservara mi ticket para mañana.
I talked to the girl. I told her that I wanted her to reserve my ticket for tomorrow.
Okay, and that was after Mr. McKenna called her for you, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did Mr. McKenna offer to help pay for your plane ticket?
¿Ofreció ayudar con el pago de su boleto?
No, señor.
No, sir.
You also told us this afternoon that you made a reservation earlier this month
Reservaciones a principios de este mes.
to go to El Salvador, correct?
Salvador, ¿correcto?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a direct contradiction to what you told us this morning, correct?
Lo que les dijo esta mañana.
Witness has answered yes.
Object to that question. His argument.
Overruled.
Mistakes evidence.
Overruled.
Can you ask the question again?
We have the answer.
I don't believe so. Ask the question again. I don't have it in the record.
Okay. This afternoon, you testified that you actually made a reservation earlier this month,
Antes este mes.
Correct.
Principios de este mes, ¿correcto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. But that contradicts what you told us this morning, doesn't it?
Pues esta mañana no es así. Espere.
Overruled. Overruled.
Conteste.
Doesn't it?
¿No es así? Yes.
Also argumentative because she was not asked whether she made a reservation earlier this morning.
And she was asked if she had made any.
Yes, yes, it is, and she's admitted that it's contradictory. All right, counsel, we need to take a brief recess for both the court reporter and the interpreter. We'll stand in recess for 15. All right, Ms. Lopez, you may step down, come back in 15. Unless we're doing exhibits. Yeah, but part of the deal is that they put everything back. All right, back on the record in the Simpson matter. The defendant's again present before the court with his counsel. People are represented. Ms. Lopez, would you come forward, please?
You have the persons included previously in the courtroom?
Yes, they are. All right, record should reflect the presence of our certified Spanish interpreter, Doris Whites. Good afternoon, Ms. Lopez. You're reminded that you are still under oath. Mr. Darden, you may conclude your recross examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lopez, are you aware that in El Salvador today, that there are many, many billboards that say, if you see Rosa Lopez, call this number?
I don't think it's
Okay. Are you?
What's your offer of proof on that, Mr. Darden? You asking that question?
Pardon?
What's your offer of proof in asking that question?
A member of the press just gave us that information, Your Honor.
The press should be objective, Your Honor.
And if it's true, then it's objective.
Are they sworn? That's the problem with a question like
Are
that.
you sworn?
Let them stand up here.
I'm asking.
All right, I'm gonna
If she speaks to
sustain.
people in El Salvador, maybe she knows this. If
Well,
she
she's
doesn't,
indicated so far that she hasn't talked to anybody in El Salvador in the last 2
Lately.
weeks.
lately.
All right, I'm going to sustain the objection. This doesn't help me a lot.
Okay. You told us this morning, strike that. You mentioned to us a little while ago that a security guard at the unemployment office frightened you in some manner.
¿La asustó de cierta forma?
Sí.
Yes.
And what was it about the security guard that frightened you?
La asustó del guardia de seguridad.
No es que me asuste, sino que no me gusta que me digan una cosa que no lo soy. ¿Para qué me dijo que era la housekeeper de Mr. Simpson? ¿Sí? No.
It's not that it scares me, it's just that I don't like being told something that I'm not. Why does he tell me that I'm Mr. Simpson's housekeeper?
Well, no one has threatened to beat you up or anything, correct?
O hostigarla.
No.
No.
Overall, she says she's in fear of her personal safety, according to the declaration.
All right. No one has threatened to beat you up. correct?
A mí no.
Not me.
Okay. Okay. And you say that your daughter told you something about the people on the other side?
La gente del otro lado, los contrarios.
No de ustedes, sino que no le gusta.
Not about
Tiene
you,
miedo.
but that she doesn't like it. She's afraid.
But she told you that
Cuando ella le dijo,
you should be concerned about the people on the other side, correct?
preocupar de los contrarios, ¿correcto?
Correct?
¿Correcto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, who are the people on the other side?
De la otra
Yo no
parte, los
sé.
contrarios. I don't know.
Okay. Are they black people?
¿Los negros?
No. Yo no sé.
No, I don't know.
No me especifico.
She didn't specify.
What else do you have? So no one has threatened you with any physical harm, correct?
Daños físicos, ¿correcto?
Correct?
¿Correcto?
Pero muchas de mis amistades dicen que tenga mucho cuidado porque este caso está muy difícil y que me pueden llegar a matar.
But many of my friends tell me to be very careful because this case is very difficult and that I could even be killed.
But no one has threatened you with physical harm.
Pero nadie
Correct.
usted la ha amenazado con daños físicos, ¿correcto?
No.
No.
When you spoke to your lawyer, did he tell you that you could testify on tape?
¿Testificar en grabación, en cinta?
Sí.
Yes.
And did he tell you that you could do that and not be required to testify in open court?
Y no tener la necesidad de declarar en el tribunal?
Sí.
Yes.
And that's really what you would rather do, correct?
Y eso es lo que usted preferiría hacer, ¿correcto?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You'd rather testify on tape than have to testify in front of all of these people, correct?
They're all here.
Well,
Or will... Do you understand the question?
¿Entiende la pregunta?
No.
No.
Rephrase the question.
well, when you testify on tape, if you know, who else would be present?
¿Quién estaría presente si es que sabe usted?
No sé.
I don't know.
Okay. Is it your understanding that it'll only be you and the judge and the lawyers?
No sé.
I don't know.
Why would you rather testify on tape?
Quería, pero ahora ya todos me están viendo aquí, ¿para qué me voy a ir?
I wanted to, but now everybody's looking at me here, so why should I leave?
My point exactly, nothing further.
With regard to your statement about why should you leave, do you still want to go to El Salvador?
¿No se quiere ir a El Salvador?
Sí, señora.
Yes, sir. And I'm leaving. I'm leaving now. I'm leaving tomorrow.
And do you have a place to stay in Los Angeles, California, a place where you can spend the night
¿Donde
even?
puede pasar la noche?
No, señor.
No, sir.
Your daughter came back on Tuesday night from New York. Remember you testified about that?
¿Declaró usted eso?
When she came back Tuesday from New York, your daughter?
¿Martes de Nueva York, su hija?
Sí.
Yes.
The two of you had an argument at that point, is that correct?
Tuvieron una discusión en ese momento,
All right,
pero no
next question.
conteste.
All right. Did the two of you have an argument that night?
¿Ustedes dos tuvieron una...
No, that's not leading, counsel.
Yes.
Yes.
And after that, did you have any place to stay here in Los Angeles Tuesday night?
¿En Los Ángeles el
No,
martes en la
dormí en
noche?
la calle.
No, I slept on the street,
And in what did you sleep in?
En el carro.
in the car.
And after, if tonight in Los Angeles, do you have any place you can go and sleep tonight?
No.
Is that why you're going to go back to that other state tonight?
¿A ese otro estado esta noche?
Yes.
Yes.
All the while you're working at the Salingers, when you weren't at work with the Salingers, where did you live?
Cuando trabajaba con los Sanitors, ¿dónde vivía?
Con mi hija.
With my daughter.
And your dispute,
Y su
an argument with your daughter is over what?
pelea con su hija es con relación a qué?
Por el caso este.
Because of this case, coming to testify.
And because of this case, you have no place to stay, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you talk to Mr. Jones about whether or not you could go to El Salvador, tell us what, if anything, you asked Mr. Jones about going to El Salvador.
Yo le dije si me podía ir a El Salvador porque estaba tengo mucha presión con este caso y que yo me quería ir a El Salvador. Él me dijo sí me puedo ir cuando usted quiera, usted no es prisionera de este país, usted se puede ir a donde usted quiera.
I asked him if I could go to El Salvador because I have a lot of pressure because of this case, and he said to me, you can go whenever you want to. You are not a prisoner in this country.
Después que testificar aquí.
But after I testified here.
All right? And is that why you came back here voluntarily today? Because you promised your lawyer you'd come back to appear before Judge Ito?
Sí.
Yes.
And ma'am, if we don't finish these proceedings today, and you had to come back on Monday, do you have any place to stay this weekend?
No, y yo no quiero volver el lunes para acá.
No, and I don't want to come back here on Monday.
All right, do you want to come back in a couple of months to testify in this case?
No, señor, yo no quiero volver acá.
No, sir, I don't want to come back here.
And why is that?
¿Por qué es eso?
Porque no quiero volver a este país donde que todos me conocen, todos me miran y yo ya no quiero volver a testificar, yo no quiero. Yo dije que venía ahora a testificar, era ahora.
Because I don't want to come back here where everybody knows me, everybody looks at me. I don't want to come back to testify. I said that I would come today, and I came today, but I don't want to testify again.
And are you still afraid for your personal safety?
Sí, señor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Iida.
All right. Just a couple of questions, Your Honor.
Couple.
Ms. Lopez, you have a lot of respect for Judge Ito, don't you?
¿Tiene mucho respeto por el juezito, no es así? Sí. Yes.
If he provides you with a plane ticket and a hotel room, and if he orders you to return to El Salvador to testify, will you return?
¿Regresaría usted?
Me aprecio mucho, señor juez, pero no vengo.
I like you very much, Your Honor, but I won't come back.
Me voy a otro país, señor.
I will go to another country, sir.
Lo respeto muchísimo.
And I respect you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez.
Gracias, señor.
Would your lawyer tell you to tell the judge that you will not come
¿Le
back?
dijo usted que le diga al juez que no regresara? Espérese.
Overruled.
Diga.
No.
No.
Do you understand Mr. Cochran's objection?
¿Entendiste la objeción del señor Cochran?
No.
No.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez, when you go back to El Salvador, where will you stay?
¿En dónde se va a quedar? I have my home in El Salvador.
Can we have that question? I don't know what she's going to... I'm concerned about security with regard to the response to that. She can answer, but I don't know what the court specifically...
Let me rephrase the question. Do you have a place to stay when you go to El Salvador?
Cuando regrese a El Salvador?
Tengo mi casa.
I have my home there.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Ms. Lopez. I'm going to excuse you from the witness stand at this time. I'm going to ask you to wait outside in the hallway. And Mr. Cochran, sorry, Mr. Jones, would you sit with her out in the hallway, please?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Cochran, benefit to be derived from approaching and discussing this issue?
I'm willing to approach that. I want to...
All right. Your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll go next. Mr. Jones is bringing in the witness. His name is Zulema Iida.
For the record, Your Honor, just a few moments ago, or when her name was mentioned, that the people were apprised that this witness would be testifying in this hearing. We received no discovery,
I have no discovery.
and we received very little information in terms of what this witness is expected to testify to, and so I object to counsel calling her at this time.
Noted. Overruled. All right, ma'am, would you step over here, stand over here by the projector here? Would you face the court clerk and raise your right hand, please?
Raise your hand. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now pleading before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Please have a seat in the witness stand and state and spell your first and last name for the record. Thank you.
Right. All right. Good afternoon, ma'am. Would you please state and spell your name?
Spell my name?
State and spell your name, please.
Okay, my name is Zulema, and it's spelled Zulema.
And what is your last name?
My last name is Iida, Iida.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Cochran.
Thank you very kindly. Ms. Iida, when is the first time we ever met?
Today, right by the door?
A short time ago in the hallway there?
Yes.
Is that right? And what is your occupation, ma'am?
I am a travel agent,
And by whom are you employed?
Pan Americana Travel System.
And where is your office? Where is it located?
The address?
Yes, ma'am.
It's 6344 San Fernando Road in the city of Glendale.
And did you see the lady who just went out in the hall just before you came in, whose name is Rosa Lopez, Rosa Maria Lopez? Do you know her?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know Rosa Lopez?
Because she buys tickets from me to go to El Salvador.
And over what period of time have you come to know Rosa Lopez, if you can tell us?
For almost a year, about a year.
And do you recall that she has purchased more than one ticket to El Salvador? through you?
Yes,
And is that through Pan Americana Travel System?
yes.
How long have you worked at that travel system?
That specific location for 1 year.
All right. And before that, did you work for some other location for the same company?
Yes.
All right. Now, on the other time or times that Miss Lopez has purchased tickets, do you remember what country she was going to?
Yes,
And what country was that?
El Salvador.
And do you remember what airline she flew on?
TACA or United.
All right. In that connection, if you recall, did you have occasion to make any reservations for Ms. Rosa Lopez at any time during the first part of February to go to El Salvador?
Yes.
And when was that? When did you make those reservations, if you recall?
It was about beginning of February that she wanted to leave on 15th of February just one way.
15th of February?
Yes.
That was a Wednesday. And did you make any reservations for her?
Yes, I did.
And do you remember what airline those were made on?
Not exactly, but I think TACA or United.
All right. And obviously she didn't go on February 15th, is that
No.
correct? Those reservations expired?
Yes.
All right. You received a call over the lunch hour from a Mr. Pat McKenna, did you today?
Yes.
And were you asked to come down to court this afternoon?
Yes.
At my request, have you had occasion to check to determine whether or not there is a flight to El Salvador tomorrow night leaving Los Angeles International Airport at about 11 o'clock p.m.?
Yes, the
And what airline is that on?
United.
And is there also a TACA flight?
Yes.
There are two flights, one TACA, one United?
There's several.
Okay, several flights? And is there a nonstop flight tomorrow night?
I believe this flight, it's nonstop that leaves tomorrow night.
And is that flight, and at my request, did you check to see if there was a nonstop flight available to El Salvador, leaving Los Angeles International Airport tomorrow night? That there are tickets available or seats available?
Yes, there are.
On the other occasion, that, or occasions that you recall, Ms. Lopez traveling with your agency, do you recall how she paid for her fare?
Yes,
And how did she?
cash.
And with regard to flying either on TACA or United, are you able to pay for the tickets on the same day that you leave if seats are available?
Yes.
And if you can tell us the approximate fare one way to El Salvador from Los Angeles International Airport.
About 317.
All right.
It varies.
All right, it's 300 plus, is that correct?
Correct.
And that, if one had that amount of money and there are seats available tomorrow night
Yes.
on that flight,
Yes.
what time would that flight arrive in El Salvador? If you know.
6 a.m., 6:10 a.m.
Very well, and you came down per our request without a subpoena, is that correct?
Correct. Correct.
All right, thank you very kindly.
Certainly.